Hey, Happy New Year's, guys. Welcome. It's been a while. Happy to get a new YouTube video for you guys. This is a good one. This is my year-end review of 2022, plus my review of December on the Road to WSOP Challenge. If there's any new viewers coming in, we're doing a Road to WSOP 2023, trying to hit $100,000 profit by May 31st, at which point I will go to the World Series of Poker for 2 months to grind it out. We started June of last year, and I actually cover quite a lot about that journey through the year-end review. So I think you guys are really going to enjoy it. I go right into my profits straight away. So if you guys don't want to stick around for the whole video, no worries. The results are there straight away. Otherwise, if you're really interested in the process, the things I learned, the things I failed at, the things I succeeded at, I think you'll really enjoy this video. Maybe stick it to 2x speed while you go and do your chores, clean your room and do the dishes and whatnot. And yeah, enjoy. Actually, don't enjoy quite yet. One more thing. I got to show you something. For anybody who has never played on America's Cardroom before, if you want a free $25 gift from yours truly, DramaticDegen, to play with, there's one rule. You need to be new to America's Cardroom or WPN, the Winning Poker Network. So no history of playing on any of those sites that are represented by WPN. Follow these steps. Go to America's Cardroom. Unfortunately, I can't share the link. YouTube doesn't allow me to, but just Google America's Cardroom. It'll be the first link that you find. Download the client. Pretty simple. It's just an exe file. Sign up and make an account using promo code DRAMA, DRAMA, that attaches you to me so that ACR knows that you came from my community. And then after that, fill out your personal information in the cashier section of your client. I cannot send money until it can be verified that you are who you are. So make sure you fill out your personal information when you downloaded the client and made the account. That's really, really important. And then lastly, but not leastly, DM me with your username. So you can go on Instagram, Twitter, Twitch. You can even email me if you want, although that's probably the worst way to contact me. But yeah, just drop me a DM through any social media platform and let me know your username. And once I verify everything with support, and they're cool with the sign up, then I will send you $25 to play poker with. Easy peasy. You don't have to deposit on your own. You don't have to put up any of your own money. You don't have to pay me. I give you the $25 to play with. And once again, the only rule, you have to be new to America's Cardroom and the WPN network, the Winning Poker Network. That's it. That's the only rule. All right. With that being said, enjoy the rest of the video. Like, comment, subscribe. Show me that you still love me. Help me game the algorithm. See you later. All right, guys. I think we'll go into it. I think we shall talk about our results here. Let's just take a quick look at this first. So this is 2021. 2021, we made no money. That's my total from last year. We made $2,400. That's my net. So that's after buying action, selling action, rake back, and then my results combined in there. So pretty poor, really, really poor year. Not to mention that, we made no money. I made no money after 2020, probably losing at least 50K. I might have lost more. I still haven't looked at my results from 2020. That's part of the past. And honestly, I just don't want to revisit that because it was a dark year for me. So, basically, I didn't make any money for 2 years. And I really got to hold myself accountable. That's definitely, that's not variance. One thing I do remember in our year-end review is I gave myself a little bit of credit in certain aspects where like a big chunk of my losses were in the higher stakes buy-ins, a big chunk of my losses were in the bigger fields. And so I was like, okay, there's some variance issues here. I still held some accountability and I was like, I got to get better because like in these low field games, I wasn't even making that much money. But I was a little bit too lenient on myself. In hindsight, I was way too lenient on myself. I was totally wrong. I made $2,500 in 2021 because that's probably about as much as I deserve to make. I played poorly. I was undisciplined. I did not study enough, and my game suffered. I was a bad poker player. I was a bad reg. And we had covered some of this at the end of my first WSOP challenge in May of 2022, where I basically admitted, like, I am a bad reg. And that was true. And this, to me, now learning what I've learned reinstates that ideal that like, yeah, I was a bad rig. I was a bad rig. I was a shit rig. I really was. Truly. I still a little bit of a bad rig, but I'm getting out of that label and really improving my game a lot. So, but yeah, really, really bad. So last year we didn't make any money. Or sorry, 2021 we didn't make any money. I'm going to jump right into what our results were for 2022 because I know that's what a lot of you guys are here for, and I won't make you stick around longer to try and figure that out. But if you guys want to stick around after, we're going to go into some more specifics on certain aspects of my game and why I got the results I got for 2022. But here are my results, okay? So we spent 300K in buy-ins, 370K, made 324K in cashes, for a total of 17 grand. So obviously not great, but a significant improvement from the year before. I sold about 35K for State Kings and gave them about 29K in results. So yeah, we saved a bit of losses from State Kings. I don't sell in State Kings anymore, but for like the first 5 months of the year, it was something that I heavily relied upon. Probably would have gone broke without selling action, to be honest, including to my buddy Alex here. His returns, etc., etc. You guys don't need to know about that. So on the year, he's up just a little bit on me. He's up. So basically, my Alex is my best friend, for those of you guys who don't know, and I sell 10% of my action to him every day, just like a loyalty thing. It's something we do. I buy 10% of him. He buys 10% of me. We've been doing this for better part of 5 years now, I think. So it looks like he made about 1,600 on me. Looks like I lost about 900 on him, which is whatever. That's, nothing. $90 a month, not even $80 a month. $6K in rake back, which is low, but I significantly decreased my average buy-in this year. And then the net profit at the end of the year was 30K. So I made about $30,000 in profit total this year from poker alone. Most of that profit is from the last 7 months of 2022. From June 1st onwards is basically where all the profit originates from. The first 5 months of 2022, I stayed alive once again by just selling action and then, of course, making an income off of America's Cardroom. So it ended up being, I don't know what the right way of saying this is, like a free roll. Free roll is the wrong term. But just me, like, having those contingencies of selling action, selling a lot of action, selling at markup, kept me going. And then I stopped selling action, joined this coaching for profit group, decreased my average buy-in, I think in half. Maybe not. Maybe by like a third. And focus more on game selection and, of course, improve my game. And that's where the profit all came from. So this 2.4K is after taking out living expenses. Oh, I should have mentioned that. Oh, fuck. I forgot. We were going to go through December results first. I'm just so excited to talk about 2022. Shit. Okay, let me just like speed run through my December results. Okay, December results. We made 2,700 or a little shy of 2,700 from poker. I made 1,900 from ACR. As part of the Star Wars program. Made $200 off Twitch. Totaled 4,800. Lost $900. I spent $900 in December, which is pretty good. Don't forget that I paid 3 months rent up front in November to my landlord, so this rent is not included in these expenses. That's why it's so low. Lost $400 in MMA bets, so the total became 3,500. Our challenge right now is 34,900. I lost $900 yesterday, so it's actually about 34,000. Okay, so let's restart here. Pump the brakes. 2022, my net profit. Don't worry about the expenses of life, just everything poker related. We made $30,000 playing poker. And once again, that was from, effectively my profit came from June onwards. Didn't make any money between January and May. Didn't necessarily lose a ton of money either. We definitely lost some. But my profit for the most part came from the later half of the year. So I played a total of 10,600 games, or it might actually be closer to 11,000. I think I filtered it somewhat wrong, but let's round it up and say 11,000 games last year. A lot of games. I think I played. Does it show how much I played in 2021? I played 7,800 games in 2021. So we played, what is that? Basically 50% more games this year. Once again, I took all of May off in 2021 because of deaths in the family. That probably played a huge role. But I just played more volume here. That wasn't my intention. My goal was to actually play less volume because I thought that would affect my quality in a more positive way. This year, especially once again, joining the CFP, I had the confidence and I think I had the aptitude to put in more of a higher volume. And I also just got used to playing more tables at a time. In 2021, I think I was mostly playing 8 to 10 tables. And this year I played 10 to 12. So I was just naturally able to put in more volume. And that probably helped a little bit, especially with the average buy-in that I was playing. January, awful month. We were minus 3K. I should have been minus 7K, but once again, I sold a lot of action, and I had a little piece of Alex who won a little bit, nothing crazy, but he won some. But the big thing was selling a lot of action. I think if you're going to play what I was playing at the time, which was high fields, high average buy-in, well, high for me, it was like 40 or 50 bucks, but the average field size was like, I think it was close to 1,000. You got to sell action, or you're just going to swing like crazy. You either need to do that or have a $100,000 bankroll. And at my average buy-in, who the hell wants to have that? So, and I didn't have 100K. So I sold a lot of action. And that's kind of what just helped minimize, those losses. February, we were minus 1K. Same story. Should have been minus 6.6K. But just sold a ton of action. Once again, had a piece of a friend who had a decent month. I was playing a high volume this month, so I got a lot of rake back as well with my high average buy-in. Guys, make sure you follow Team Turbo Kings. He's kind of the reason why we've actually made any profit this year, so you'll definitely want to give him a follow. And we're going to actually be talking a lot more about him later on here in this review. I wanted to bring up this hilarious gravy story because it's actually such a ridiculous story, and most of you guys probably aren't familiar with this story. It has nothing to do with poker, but it's actually such a ridiculous story. So it was a Sunday, right? I'm in the middle of this downswing. Shit's not going well. And I'm putting in a really long day. I find myself making the final table with the chip lead in the 55 Bounty Builder on a Sunday. First place is like 10 to 15K. It's a good chunk of change. And I have a really reasonable chip lead. My roommate at the time, good friend, Steve, most of you guys know, he comes running in. He goes, Travis, I need you to come help me. I'm like, dude, I'm in the middle of something. I can't help you. And he does this often. Like, I need you to help me with something. And then I go, no, man, I'm at a final table. I can't help you. And he go, okay. But this time around, he goes, no, I need you to help me. It can't wait. I go, what's wrong? And he goes, I think that there was weed in the butter I used to make gravy. And he was having family over for a big dinner because to announce the pregnancy of his girlfriend. So he had his parents and his grandparents over, both sets of grandparents over. He's like, my grandparents are both high. We think, my girlfriend's high. My parents are high. We're freaking out. We need you to call 911 because none of us are capable of calling 911. We need to make sure that my girlfriend's okay. They're like, okay. So I had to sit out of this final table with 10 to 15K for first and call 911. And which was fine. That didn't bother me because she was pregnant and she was freaking out. She was having a panic attack. She's like, I'm going to my baby's going to die or whatever. She was really freaking out, which is fair enough. And so I called 911. I asked them, like, is everything okay? Gave all the details and they're like, it's fine. It's totally fine. It wasn't a huge amount. It wasn't a concentrated amount. She'll be fine. It's early in the pregnancy, yada, 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 yada. Basically, it all turned out being okay, right? And I let everybody know it's okay. I just relayed all the information that the ambulance had told me on the phone, and I could see like the energy in the room just everyone deflated. Everyone's like, okay, this is fine. And then my roommate's grandparents, who by the way are like, they're not conservative, but like they've never done drugs, or if they have, it's been like 40 years since they've done drugs. These type of people, right? So they're like really affected by this weed. As soon as I tell them everything's okay, these grandparents start laughing uncontrollably. Like they can't hold it in. They're laughing so hard. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna leave these guys, let them have their little family moment laughing that they got drugged by their grandson accidentally in the fucking turkey gravy. Go back to my final table. Luckily, I only missed like 10 minutes of hands. I've been moved down to like second or third place. I can still play this thing, right? So I'm okay. Start playing. Couldn't have been 3 minutes later. Steve starts screaming at me aggressively this time. He's like, Travis, Travis, Travis. And I hear, not screaming, but like crying, you know? Run back into the living room. Steve's grandfather is vomiting uncontrollably. I have never seen more vomit in my entire life. All over the floor. It's everywhere. And his eyes look like they're rolling to the back of his head. And everyone is freaking out, and they're particularly freaking out at me because once again, I'm the only sober person in the house and they don't know what to do. So I call the ambulance one more time to be like, okay, now we need a paramedic because this old man here is like throwing up all of his food all over the house. I can still smell it when thinking about it. I've never smelled anything more awful in my entire life. And this time I'm on the phone for a good half hour. Not half hour, let's say 15 minutes, waiting for the ambulance to come, giving the 911 operator all the details of what's happening, because that's what he wants. He's like, just tell me everything that's going on in case we need to update the paramedics, yada, yada, yada. And every time I'm updating the paramedics, even if like there's a slight improvement, I'll be like, okay, looks like his eyes aren't rolled to the back of his head. He stopped vomiting, but he does seem disoriented. The family would flip out at me because they're thinking what I'm doing is explaining to the paramedics that they don't need to come anymore, which I'm not trying to do at all. Like, obviously the paramedics need to come. And it's a whole ordeal. And I'm sitting out for 45 minutes. And you know, by like the 20-minute mark, I'm like, I'm probably not gonna get back to this game. So I actually had a buddy of mine. I logged out really quickly while once the paramedics arrived. I logged out and let a friend log in and have him play for me. And luckily, he finished third. But I probably would have sat out and finished like 6th or 7th or whatever. And then I obviously let support know. I emailed support the same night, and they're like, "This is fine. If this is like a one-off occurrence, this is totally fine." I think other sites wouldn't have allowed it, but I know that at Pokerstars allows that kind of a thing. And yeah, everything ended up turning out okay. The grandpa was fine. He spent the night in the hospital, went home the next morning. It was totally fine. But yeah, crazy story. I missed out on like probably like 8K and EV because of this like movie-like situation where my buddy didn't realize there was weed in the butter he was making gravy with, and then basically like roofied his whole entire family to the point that his grandfather ended up like throwing up a lot, like gallons worth. And we had to call the ambulance. Like, this is something you see in a comedy. Ridiculous. So anyway, that was February. March was our first profitable month of the year. I'm not sure why I should have grossed less. I'm gonna guess I probably sold the more expensive stuff, or my buddy Alex probably won a little bit, so I won some extra on top. Went back to being a losing month in April. And then May. I remember May was such a disappointing month because the first day of May, I won, like, I don't remember what it was, a $16 something or other for like $7,000, just printed that day. And I was like, okay, great. We're going into Scoop. This is the last month of the challenge. I want to make some money, end on a high note. I knew I wasn't going to win the challenge, you know, by the end of May 31st of 2022. But I was like, let's end on a high note, go out with a bang. Scoop's coming up. We'll make a boatload of money. We'll be okay. And day one, made 7 Gs. Sweet. We're golden. I'm going to free roll this year. And then I don't think I had a profitable day for the rest of that month. I lost it all. Lost it all and then some, as you can see here. Should have been a minus 4K gross. But Scoop, I wanted to play Scoop. And I always make sure that I sell a lot during Scoop. Sell privately, sell on State Kings, all that stuff. So I sold a ton. and kept minor pieces of myself, even to like 55, 200Ks. I kept like sometimes 20, 25, 30% of myself, just kept nothing. Just wanted to play and try and do well. I didn't do well, but I still went on a swing, and we lost $200. Instead of having a 7K profitable day, we finished, or month, sorry, we finished down $200. Fucking crazy. Awful month. And that was when I was like, things need to change. Rewind a little bit to, I think it was April. If BFizz is still in the chat, he'll have to remind me. It was April or March. BFizz, also, you know, in real life, his name is Brian Fight. He's the owner of Team Turbo Kings. He did this challenge where he was going to make $20,000 in 40 days, playing no higher than a $22 buy-in. I've never heard of people making that kind of money at that low of a buy-in. I didn't think that was possible, to be quite honest. And so I bet against him. And I think with like 2 days to spare, like I think the challenge was going to end on a Sunday, and he messaged me on a Friday, and he's like, I want to take Saturday off because, you know, he needed the break, and, you know, he had his baby on the way and everything. And he's like, but I'm like, bro, I'm like 1.5K away from beating this challenge. And I'd been following him every step on the way, from watching the stream and, like, you know, watching Instagram and all that. And he's like, we can just squash it right here because I want to take the day off. But if you don't want to squash it, I'm going to play the next 2 days. And the chances of me, you know, finishing this challenge are pretty high, which I agree with. I was like, yeah, okay. So we squashed it. Even. And I think you was 20K in 40 days at $22 and under MTTs. Right. So I think he finished at 18.8K or 19.5K or something like that. Like really close. And I was baffled. I couldn't believe it. Honestly. I couldn't believe it. And so around that time, I think it was probably in May, where I was just like bleeding money and just could not win. I shed some vulnerability, and I DM'd him, and I just simply asked, like, what's the formula? I remember asking literally that question. What's your formula? Because I'm not making any money. And you know, I'm willing to, you know, hire you for some one-on-one coaching. What's the deal? Because this is insane. I've never heard of this before. And he went, well, good timing, because I'm starting up a coaching for profit group. I know what you're about. I've known you long enough. Would you like to join? And I was a little skeptical at first because, you know, I had contemplated many times in my career about like joining a staking group, you know, like a BBZ type of group. And I think that some people do definitely benefit from joining staking groups. But for me personally, I was turned off by the idea of like being put into into makeup, sorry. Because that can be a hole that's very difficult to dig yourself out of. It's not for everyone. I think it's totally a fine choice for some people, and I think it's a really bad choice for others. And for me personally, like in my gut, it's just not something I wanted to do, especially considering that I have the privilege of being a streamer. What that privilege entails is that I can sell action at a markup, so I don't have to put myself in makeup. I can get sponsorships to keep me making like a monthly income to stay afloat, like with ACR. A lot of poker players don't have that either. So I was like, if I don't have to put myself into a staking group, then I shouldn't. And I thought the CFP was kind of going to be similar, but he gave me a really good situation. He's like, I just take 20% of your monthly profits, and you don't have to like do a contract. You can stay as long as you like. If you want to leave in a month, you can do that. If you want to stay forever, you can do that too. I went, okay. I really, at this point, I don't have anything to lose, because what's 20% to sacrifice to him if I'm not making any money in the first place? So if I'm not making any money in the first place, and then I go from that to actually making a profit with him that I wouldn't have made otherwise, and the fee is to give him 20%, I gotta at least try. Right? And I remember, I think I took a week off, and I took like a week of studying with him. And in the first week, I started making money. And in the first month, I made 3.5K in June. That was my first month joining the Coaching for Profit group. And I went, okay, I'm starting to see some writing on the wall here. And what do you know? 3.5K in June, 3.5K in July, 3.9K in August. Losing month in September, but that's a small losing month in the greater scheme of things. Just a little bit of variance. Not a big deal. A little bit of bad game selection. There's also W Coop. Played a little bit of W Coop. Try to play some sats into high stakes MTTs. That starts to create some higher variance. I might as well consider that a break-even month, in my opinion. And you know what's funny? I had several conversations leading up to October. I had several conversations with Brian, just like gauging where I'm standing. You know, I had a couple of, like, even in July with a profitable month, I had, like, I remember a 2-week swing. I was like, oh, I'm a little worried here. And he goes, I'm gonna try my best to make sure that, like, you're making 5K by October. You know, that October is a 5K month. I went, okay. And then in October, I made 22,000. Sorry, you guys didn't see this. I made 22,000 in October, which is the best month I've had since January of 2020. Best month I've had in 2.5 years. Crazy. Now, did I run good this month? Of course. Third in a 3,300K. That's a huge field on a Sunday. First in the 33 Grand Autumn on Party Poker. I think that was a 100K guaranteed. No, that wouldn't have been 100K. I think it was a 60K guaranteed. I can't remember. I think it was like a 50 or 60K guaranteed. Which I went on a huge sun run in. I made a couple of calls there that a lot of people thought I was a big fish for. Fair enough. And then I really went on a sun run. I chopped second place money in a free roll that ACR has been doing with big streamers. Where they're putting up a ton of money on prize pools and putting huge bounties on streamers' heads, like $10,000 bounties on streamers' heads. I was like, I need to join this. So I joined it. And it's a hyper format. So I was like, yeah, whatever. Make some, maybe run into one of these players and just shove every hand and hopefully make 10K. Never happened. But I did just end up sun running. And then finally, we were down to the final 18 of this free roll. And the blind levels stopped moving. For some reason, the tournament structure just stopped. And so we were at like big blind, I think it was like big blind 6K from 18 people all the way onto the end. And it ended up creating like huge stacks. And those final 2 tables took like 6 hours to play. But everybody was a recreational with the exception of I think like 2 players in the tournament, 2 other players. And so I just I had a 30% 3-bet percentage. I just started like just raising and raising and raising and raising and check raising and raising and check raising and raising. And basically just like bluffed my way to second place and took a chop. Pretty crazy. November, break even. December was a really weird month. The first 2 weeks of December, I went on like a 3K downswing. I think I peaked at like minus 3.5K, if I remember correctly, in December. And going into Christmas, going back to my parents' place for Christmas, I was like down 3.5K. And then on Christmas Day, I remembered I had to play a day 2 of a $16 50K on ACR. And my parents weren't particularly cool with me playing poker on Christmas, but I was like, I got to play this one game. We weren't doing anything anyway. We were just watching movies. So I just one-tabled day 2 of this 1650K that had started with like 500 players on day 2. And went all the way to, I think I finished third for like 4.5K. So went on a sun run, basically. And then the next couple of sessions after that, when I got home, had some profitable sessions and finished plus 2.6K. So we went from minus 3.5K up to plus 2.6K, which is, what is that, like a 5K upswing, something like that. Not a bad way to end the year. It's a good way to save December, honestly. Now, one thing I do think I want to say when I look at these months. Well, let's take a look here. What did I average? So we averaged about $5,000 a month, roughly. I want that to be a lot better for 2023. $5,000 a month is great for the average buy-in I'm playing. I think I could do better, which is kind of crazy to say, but I really do. My confidence is at like an all-time high, so we're getting there. DD was a sick player before he got to me. Sometimes a deep clean and a tune-up is all an experienced player like him needs. That's the thing, right? Like, I consider myself before the CFP is I was a shit reg. I knew back then that there was something missing. I think I even said it to Brian at the time. I was like, "There's something missing. I can feel the game moving past me. I can't figure out where that's coming from, but I can feel the game moving past me." I was a shit reg, but that doesn't mean I don't have the aptitude or the ability to learn and get better. And that is one thing that I think I'm capable of, is I have the ability to learn and then implement what it is that I've learned to improve. I'm pretty good with that kind of stuff. And so, like, when I joined the CFP, like I said, that first week I was winning. And there's probably a bit of variance involved. Maybe I was running good, but I also know that I was just like implementing what he had taught me like straight away. I understood it. I was like, oh, I get this. I understand why you're doing this. Okay, I want to do it. And boom, I started producing results instantly. Which is crazy because I was like, I'm going to wait. It's probably going to take me about 60 to 90 days to see some results. That's what I was anticipating when I first joined. But I was implementing what I was learning every single day, like straight away. And the results show. All right, so we'll go over some of the income aspects outside of poker. So I lost 1.6K in fights. Not a huge deal. I made about a little shy of 4K in 2021 from fighting, from UFC fights. I got to admit, I super neglected. Like, so I don't really gamble outside of poker. The only thing that I do gambling-wise outside of poker is I bet on fights. And the only reason why I bet on fights, it's because it's another form of gambling that I think is inside my control. I'm addicted to MMA, and I watch a lot of fights. I probably watch like 80% of UFC cards, probably watch half of Bellator cards, watch a good amount of boxing. I watch a little bit of PFL. Like, I watch a lot of fights. And there's definitely a lot of picks that the odds makers are somewhat wrong on, or the market is just wrong on. And I try my best to figure out how to exploit that. This year I didn't really bother. I was really, really lazy about it. And just kind of went like, oh, that odd doesn't seem, that pick doesn't seem right, and then make a bet. And that cost me. That being said, my average bet was $50. So to be down 30 units over not the greatest sample, not a huge sample, is not that bad. I'm not going to beat myself over it. Made $28,000 from ACR, which is great. So for those of you guys who don't know, most of you do, so I sound like a bit of a broken record, but I apologize. But for those who don't know, part of the ACR Stormers program, it's an affiliate program where obviously they give you bonuses based off of new signups that you get, but they also pay you based off of your watch time on stream. So if you guys don't know what watch time is, that's an hour watched per viewer. So if we have 100 viewers right now that watch for an hour, 100 hours of watch time goes towards my channel. And they have a tiered system. Tiered 1 is like $50 for, I don't know, a low amount of watch time. And then their top tier is tier 7, and I can get paid $3,000 for 10,000 hours of watch time. And then it scales in between, of course. Most months, I was getting between the second best tier and the best tier. So either 2250 or 3,000. The 2250 tier just came in halfway through the year. And before that, the discrepancy was huge. It was like tier 5 was 1,500 for 5,000 hours. And then tier 6 was 3,000 for 10,000 hours. And there wasn't an in-between. And then if you finished a month at like 9,900 hours, you would be pushed down to the $1,500 tier. So there were a couple of months where I was close and I just didn't make it. Luckily, halfway through, they put a tier in the middle to make things a little bit more manageable, so the discrepancy isn't so huge. So I ended up making good money from ACR. So those losing months weren't so bad. They didn't hurt so much. A big part of this 27,000 comes down to your guys' support. So like 10,000 hours means I had, a lot of people sticking around, enjoying my stream, supporting the channel, and enjoying my content. So I'm really, really flattered you guys enjoyed that content. I'm really, really grateful to have this little community. I know that like a lot of people shit on me because I'm not as big as my contemporaries. Like I'm close friends with Pav and Patrick, and they have 10x, 15x my viewership. But that's not a big deal to me. That's totally fine. I still have a strong community that's actually hard to build. I'm in the top like 0.07 or not 0.0, top 0.7% of Twitch streamers on the entire platform, and it's created me a side income that's kept me afloat when things went bad poker wise. And you guys participated in helping me with that, so I really, really appreciate that. I'm grateful. 2,800 from Twitch, pretty standard. I don't make a lot from subs and ad revenue and stuff. I want to work on that for 2023. I want to try and get that sub count up more, and I'm gonna make it easy for you guys to do that. So I'm gonna start giving away like coaching sessions, and I'm gonna give away tournament tickets and stuff like that for better sub counts. So I'm gonna like invest in myself by taking money out of my pocket to encourage a stronger community. That's gonna be the game plan for 2023. So I made a little bit from Twitch, and then of course the 30,000 from poker, for a total of $58,973. It's pretty nice. It's pretty nice. It's good. Obviously I want to make like 6 figures. I want to make a lot more than I made. But this is for a man who is single, no kids, no pets, no major expenses. $60,000 to do a job I'm passionate about, to have a career I love, a day job that I love, is a pretty big win in my books. And it's a significant increase from 2021. Significant. I can't remember how much I made in 2021. I'd be surprised if I made $30,000 altogether. So it's huge. Doubled my income this year. So all in all, 2022 was a good year. Learned a lot. Had some downs, but luckily had a lot of ups. And I think I think 2022 will prove to be a bit of a catalyst for 2023. Well, not a catalyst, a foundation. And 2023 is the catalyst, I think. So it feels pretty good. All right. Next step, we're going to talk about some of the sites. We're going to look at some SharkScope stuff and cover a few things. So my biggest losing site was on GG. We lost about 15K. Something that I noticed was I was playing 6 times the average 6 times the average field size of my best site, which was Global. Global is where I made the most money on this year. I made about 14K over. I don't think I've played 1,500 games yet. But I was playing average field sizes of 860 on GG compared to 138 on Global. I decided to filter that down a little bit more and see what I was doing with small fields on GG. And even then, if I filtered it to below 500 average field size, I was still down almost 10K on GG. That's an issue. And I was trying to think, like, how could that be? Because those games are soft. I know they are. They're really soft. And I already had the suspicion from last year that their structures aren't great and their reentries make an issue. And I think that was further emphasized by how much my game had changed and how much better I was doing on other sites, but I just wasn't doing well over a large sample on GG. So I took a look and I noticed that I had basically a third of my games I had re-entered. And then Global, there's no reentries, so it wasn't something I could fairly compare to. But my second best winning site is Party Poker. My username is Cringy. And on Party Poker, only a fifth of the games I played had reentries. And I do really well on Party Poker. I do have significantly less volume on Party Poker than I do GG. But that's only because Party Poker doesn't have as many games available. If there were more Party Poker games, I would have played more on Party Poker. GG has like a, Pokerstars level schedule as far as availability goes. But their biggest downfall is all their structures are basically turbo-like structures for the most part. And they allow limited re-entries during a long late registration period. So shit gets really expensive. And particularly in the first half of the year, my re-entry strategy was fire as many re-entries as I can, up to starting stack being 30 big blinds or above. And then when starting stack hits below that, then set a timer, wait till the last level of late registration, and re-enter at the last level, which is a higher variance play. But from what I understand is if you do that, you max late, it's called max late registering. So you max re-enter or max late register at the last second if there's 60% of the field gone up to that point. There's just a lot of EV in being able to get in the money there. All you need to do is like double up twice, I think. And your chance of getting the money are like not quite guaranteed, but pretty high. And it's easier to play at like a 10 big blind stack than it is at a 20 big blind stack. So there's just going to be a lot more mistakes being made. So that's what I did for the first half of the year, and it really cost me. It was really expensive. So this year, this last half of the year, I've been really, really hard on just re-entering up until starting stack is 30 big blinds and then just calling it a day if I break after that. No max late register. And it helped in that I rarely fire more than 2 bullets, and then even then I kind of stop loss at 3. I don't bother putting in 4 or 5. But still, I noticed that I don't make it out of late registration on GG pretty often, even now. So the structures I think are just poor with the max reentries, with the unlimited reentries, just makes it really swingy, super swingy, and probably is not great for late game either because you just end up battling a bunch of regs because they're the ones who are able to afford the reentries, right? So, yeah, that's pretty illuminating. I think moving forward, I'm probably going to play even less GG than I already have been. I don't even know if I'm going to play any of their like daily games. I think I'm just going to save GG for Sundays, play their big fields that have like juicy prize pools. But I might have to kind of cut GG out of my daily schedule. That or like, I noticed that GG also is one of my higher average buy-in sites. Cut it down. No more $30 MTTs, maybe even no more $20 MTTs. I might just play 10s. Have a couple of decent $10 MTTs, just like keep it to that and that alone, just to fill space. So Pokerstars was my second biggest losing site. At a 1,200 player average field, that's what I was playing. So pretty high, which means high variance. When I cut the average field size, the AFS, to below 500, I'm down 95% less. So I finished the year only minus 500 on fields below 500 players on Pokerstars, compared to I think I was like minus 11k or whatever, minus 9k, minus a lot on stars, and most of that comes from playing huge fields. That being said, being down minus $500 on stars, even on the low fields, I think is an indication that I probably still shouldn't play most stars games. Maybe a little too tough. Maybe like too many, even like semi-decent regs are cutting into my profits and my ROI. Even bad regs at the table probably cutting into my profits and my ROI on stars. And my concentration, my efforts could probably better be used on other sites where I'm just, owning the field better. So I was talking about Brian with this earlier on today. Gonna cut stars once again. Probably just play Sunday million and major series, scoops and W coops, that kind of thing. And on weekdays, I think like the big 27 I'm gonna keep in. That's about it. Maybe the hot 1650, something like that. Those are just small fields at the end of the night that are still soft. But yeah, you're going to be not seeing me play too much Pokerstars, I'm sorry to say. I know a lot of people watch streamers based off the sites they play. And Pokerstars is, of course, is like the most appealing for majority of people, but it's not going to make me the most amount of money. So that's going to be something to keep in mind. So something that I noticed, just like a little tidbit, I played 70 games above 109 So I didn't play high stakes really at all this year. And that was a $200 average buy-in. Most of these $200 MTTs I won satellites into, but it accounted for like 11K in losses. I don't know how many of these games I won satellites into. I definitely know that I directly bought into a good chunk of them as well. But still, that's an expensive endeavor where I made no money. There's some variance involved here because they would have been all big field MTTs. But that's expensive. That's like, once again, another opportunity to save money. Kind of makes me want to play high stakes less next year. But that's variance, right? I mean, I could have had a year where I won, or I finished third in one of these 215s, then we'd be singing a different tune and I'd be, plus 25K, right? So it's a little bit of a dishonest argument against my swings. That being said, it was just something that I wanted to point out. Here's a big one for me. Satellites. Minus 17K in satellites. The Satty King is dead. Your boy DD. For you OGs who might remember, the Satty King is dead. I lost 17K in satellites. Now, this is a little bit of incomplete information because it is over 1K games, which is a small sample size. But it's enough of a sample size to go, okay, DD's not exactly very good at satellites here. First half of 2022. So when I say first half, I consider the first half, it doesn't make too much sense, but I consider the first half January 1st to May 31st. So the first 5 months, not the first 6 months, because that time span was when I was not in the Coaching for Profit group with BFizz at Team Turbo Kings. So that's where I marked it. And then the last half was 7 months, from June 1st to December 31st. Just, I figured that is more illuminating of a picture because of how much of a 180 my game changed, how much of a 180 I took on my career. So the whole sample size across every site, first half of 2022, I played almost 2K games above 500 AFS average field size, and I was minus 13K in that subset. So that's a lot of games. I was just gunning for big fields. Now, for some of you guys who might have forgotten, my original Road to WSOP challenge, I had started a different one before this one. I'd started one at the end of 2021. My game plan that I thought was correct was try and gun for every big field I could find and just play small fields to mitigate my losses from the swings of big fields. Completely wrong. I shouldn't have done that. That was like a huge mistake. Really big blunder on my part. It should have been the other way around. I should have played 90% small fields, grinded those small fields hard, and then played some of the higher value big fields as just kind of like a, the ones that are like can't miss. Like I consider the Sunday Million a can't miss. But 90% of my volume should have been small fields. So the first half of 2022 was spent with this wrong ideology, this wrong belief system of going for huge fields, trying to gun for these huge scores. And of course, it created a big swing for me. And during that first half, I played 3K games, small average field size. So that's still a lot. Obviously more than this, but still a lot. And I was down 7K. Unacceptable. So I was just playing bad. I was really playing bad. 3,000 games is enough of a data set to be like, oh, I was not playing good poker. So the last half of 2022, where I joined the Coaching for Profit group, I really game selected like a motherfucker. So look at that. We cut our big fields down by 2/3, right? Played almost 2K here, but played almost 700 here for the last half. This is supposed to be over 500 average field size. Still made money. Ran good. Ran really good in the big fields. But I game selected a little bit better. Try not to play too high. I I kind of played the once again must plays, so to speak. And on top of that, my game had developed and changed to the point that, like, despite the sun running, I still made some really good decisions, as we saw earlier with that forehead bluff, right? So I got to give myself a little bit of credit for this. But luckily, I was prepared for this run good and was able to capitalize off of it. And then look how much we played in small fields here. I played what is that, like 50% or 60% more small fields than I did the first half. And we made 26K from small fields alone. Kind of interesting. I think a lot of people, they want to make 30K from these big fields, get that big score and coast. I know that a lot of my career has been spent doing that. Very, very foolishly. Where I'm like, honestly, there was a point in my career for sure, for a long period of time, honestly, where I was like, okay, what I do is I try and win one big tournament in a month, and then I just let it ride for the rest of the month. I just try not to lose for the rest of the month. If I'm, make 10K on week 1, and then just try and break even on weeks 2 to 4. How foolish. How foolish. And that's not what I did this time around. This last 7 months was way different. I realized how foolish that thought process was. We can have a lot more steady of a grind by actually playing these small fields and finding it a little bit boring, like, oh, we're up $300 today, like, who cares? But being up $300 consistently, day after day after day after day, then all of a sudden it starts to look pretty sexy. And way less stressful. Way less stressful. This is probably the least stressed I've been about poker in about 3 years. Look at that. Look at the two comparisons. It's like I entered the upside down. It's like I entered the upside down, man. They're like mirror shots of each other. Look at that. So crazy. With a lower average buy-in, might I add. I feel to be quite honest with you, chat, I'm really, really proud of this. Super proud. Do I want this graph to look cleaner? Of course, but I'm still very, very proud of that turnaround. It's pretty sick. So yeah, in conclusion, I was a bad reg. I'm less of a bad reg now and more of a decent reg. I've turned things around. Had some moments of sun run, but I also put myself in a position to be prepared for those sun runs. Right? Good luck is where hard work meets preparation. My game selection has changed, and moving into 2023, I am going to game select even more. And one of those big things that we can change straight away is cutting out majority of GG games and cutting out majority of Pokerstars games, saving them just for big series events and Sundays. Also, cutting out satellites from my regular scheduled programming is going to be huge until I can learn to be better at satellites. At that point, I think we can go from making $30,000 in poker to making, double, triple, maybe quadruple. You never know. And of course, with this Road to WSOP challenge, that would be very, very useful. And honestly, this new strat, this new way of playing poker, I think is tailor-made to just crush the World Series of Poker. Like, I think this is like tailor-made for just destroying Las Vegas. So it'd be really nice to get ourselves into a good position for this challenge. There's 5 months left in the challenge to make that happen. I think we can do it, man. I really do. My confidence is very high right now, and it's continuing to build even more. So, seeing all these things of what I want to be or who I want to be in a year's time, these are the types of goals that I decided to set up for myself. 600K hands. I'm happy with pursuing even 1 million hands, but if I'm going to go to Las Vegas, that's 2 months of poker I'm not going to play online. And if I do well in Vegas, I want to go disappear and go on an adventure and go travel for 6 weeks. There's 3 or 4 months there where I won't play poker. So we can hit 500,000 600K hands. I'll be pretty happy. hit that 50% ROI. I can get there, man. I know I can. I have a 45% ROI on, or no, 40% ROI on Global Online. I have a 35% ROI on Party. I have a 30 or 25% ROI on ACR. Like, it's within my grasp, and I know it is. And then there's some mistakes that I can quickly fix straight away. So we're gonna try really, really hard to get there. Just to give you an example, I wish I still had the picture, but like Brian, who was in the chat earlier, Brian Fight, my coach for Coaching for Profit, at $20 average buy-in, the guy has a 70% ROI, dude. That's fucking crushing. I can get there, man. Over a large sample, might I add. Like, it's a realistic thing. It can happen. I want to double my average concurrent viewers on Twitch. There's a lot of sub goals to this goal, but that is the goal for my Twitch stream. In order to do that, I need to build my community better, do some giveaways, do some more maybe coaching streams. I want to do movie nights. I really enjoy how enthusiastic we all are about film. Maybe do a movie night every other week, different things like that to help with building that. Like, I really, really admire Bet on Drew in the way in which he's developed his community. I think it's like really, really personalized. And it brings people back consistently, even if he takes time off. His numbers are still good for that reason. Kevin Martin as well. He's really good at that shit. And this kind of complements my Twitch goal here. I want to do 52 YouTube videos. So a video a week. I'd actually like to do more, but I was so inconsistent last year that I think a video a week is really, really reasonable. And get myself up to 20,000 subs. I've noticed that compared to YouTubers, or I should say even poker YouTubers who have similar subscriber counts to me, their YouTube videos don't even do half as good as mine. So I really got to take advantage of that luxury that I've got available to me. I'm gonna go to the gym 3 times a week. That's easy. I've done that before. I can do it again. Gonna go to the gym for the first time this year tomorrow. I started going to the gym last month. So this hasn't been like one of those typical resolution things. I've actually been going to the gym. Went to the gym last month and I felt great. I loved it. I'm definitely looking forward to doing it again. Track calories 5 times a week. Pretty simple. Gives me a little bit of wiggle room if I skip a couple of days. And my mental. Meditate 5 minutes a day. $2 a month. I've been falling in love with reading the last couple of years. I want to amp that up. I think $2 a month is super realistic. I just have to be consistent. Find a new hobby. That's a big one that I think is going to help with like my socialization and my anxiety and all that kind of stuff. I have a couple of hobbies I have in mind. Big one I think is like Muay Thai kickboxing or Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You guys have been hearing me talk about that ad nauseum for years. Fuck, I should have started doing this in 2017. But hey, better now than never, right? Better late than never. So this month, let's say by February. I'm going to be taking classes in some kind of martial art for sure, just to start to meet new people. There's a couple other hobbies I like to pursue, but I'm not going to overwhelm myself. Explore therapy. I just want to look after myself. I don't think I'm like mentally ill or anything, but like I said, I've got some anxiousness, I've got some focus issues, I've got some confidence issues. I'll scroll. Sorry, guys. So, go talk to somebody. I think we need to destigmatize mental health more and more and more, and be comfortable with talking about these things. I'm a big advocate for it, so I better walk the walk if I'm going to talk the talk, right? So that's something I'm going to definitely do, and probably that's going to be one of the first things I do this year. That's it, man. That's 2022. In conclusion, we made 30K from poker, about the same amount from streaming. So in total, we made just shy of 60K in income last year, USD. The first 5 months of poker were awful, and in conclusion, I was definitely a shit reg for probably a long time, let's say 2.5 years. But I had the proficiency and the aptitude to be better. I shed my ego, joined a Coaching for Profit group in June of 2022, and took a complete 180 immediately, and I've been consistently winning ever since. Moving forward, we're going to change our average field size even more. We're going to continue our average buy-in of being very low, try and pursue a high ROI by getting my win rate up to 10 EVBB per 100, which is possible. I didn't actually share my PT4, but over the last 6-7 months, I have been playing at 7 EVBB per 100. So I think getting up to 10 is totally realistic. That's over 400,000 hand sample. Compared to the previous 400,000 hands, which is the previous 5 months, where I was operating at like a 3 EVBB per 100. So we've doubled our win rate. And of course, the results have shown. And so I want to add another 30% or another 50%, I should say, to that win rate. And just have me be just an absolute crusher at this low average buy-in. And I want to work on aspects of my personal life to complement everything else. All right, that's the end of it. Of course, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. Help me game the algorithm, grow the YouTube channel and the Twitch community. Come check out my Twitch stream, twitch.tv/DramaticDegen. Links down below, all that good stuff. Really enjoyed that yearly end review. I'm going to do that every year, win or lose. I don't really expect to do too much losing moving forward, especially with this whole coaching for profit thing, as you guys heard in the video. I think this is going to be a really good year. And there's going to be it's going to be a pretty good adventure. I think you guys are really going to like what you see. So definitely make sure you come by and say hello. All right. Much love. Good luck at the tables. And if I don't see you on the Twitch streets, I'll see you guys in the next YouTube video.